Thank you to you all. I've been monitoring and listening to this hearing online, and up in my office, and it is so interesting to me to get your different perspectives on this. I really appreciate that. And a couple of times there's been mention of President Obama's efforts to close this. But as I was sitting there thinking through this and listening to your responses, my question is simply this. With the 39, it's 39 detainees that are left there. So since that effort was made to close it, what has changed in regard to the danger that these 39 individuals pose to the United States? What has changed that would say, yes, we can let these people go? We can do something different.
Well, Senator Blackburn, certainly there is a process for reviewing all of these detainees that the Obama administration set up through the periodic review boards. And at least 13 of these detainees have been determined qualified for transfer. The issue, of course, is when you transfer them, you want to ensure that they're properly secured wherever they go. And knowing that a third of these detainees have either returned to or suspected of having returned to the fight, we want to make sure that these particular ones, if they do get released somewhere, are held under appropriate security assurances. So, but all of these 39 have been determined by the Obama administration to continue to be held or tried at military commission.
So nothing has made them less dangerous.
That's right. Some may be eligible for transfer.
And I think that gets lost in this discussion. There is nothing that says they have been rehabilitated, but there is evidence that shows that many go back.
That's right.
To creating terror. So the withdrawal from Afghanistan and then the Taliban takeover, how does that affect these detainees? And what does that do to, if they were released, their probable future?
Senator, I think it's hard to understate the creation of this new ungoverned space in Afghanistan where new terrorists are returning to the fight, are now encouraging others to come there. You've got al-Qaeda returning there. You have the Taliban government, the same government that supported and hosted Osama bin Laden on the day of 9/11 attacks. You have the Haqqani network. You have ISIS-K. So you have a very detrimental and problematic mix of terrorists in the Afghanistan region. And you have additional inspiration coming from the way in which we withdrew from Afghanistan. The fact that we abandoned our allies, the fact that we have not brought out the SIVs and the like that we made commitments to. All of that contributes to the fact that Afghanistan is a terrible
the environment that we have created post the Afghanistan withdrawal actually encourages activity from terrorists.
Absolutely.
And if we release it, okay, let me ask you this. The countries that have accepted transfer of some of these in the past, and Mr. Stimson, I think I'm going to direct this to you. Have they been able to ensure that these individuals do not return to terrorist activity? And what kind of agreement did we have with them to get that insurance that they won't go back to creating these attacks?
Senator, to my recollection, we've transferred detainees or released detainees, two different processes, from Guantanamo to 39 different countries. I could be wrong, but I think it's somewhere around that. The big three populations were the Afghans, the Saudis, and the Yemenis, but dozens of other countries too. And in each one of those transfers, except for the Afghans, we had negotiated on a detainee-by-detainee basis with the receiving country and sought assurances that they would mitigate the threat that that particular detainee would pose. And I think we've had...
And I think it's important to note this is done on an individual basis.
It is.
One at a time.
Right, and we were doing that in the Bush administration. Of course, the Obama administration did that as well. The Bush administration transferred or released 532 detainees. The Obama administration transferred 197 detainees. And each one of those transfer negotiations is a laborious, sometimes years-long process. And some countries are very frank with us, saying, you know, we can only detain this person for about X period of time, and then we can't assure you that they will be held under our domestic law. And so to Professor Jaffer's point, the DNI under two successive administrations have tracked the number of detainees who are confirmed to have reengaged and who have been suspected of reengaging. And I can tell you, as a former prosecutor, I think the number's got to be higher, because you only know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know. So there are people who slip through the cracks.
So these countries that agreed to take these detainees, they make a best effort, and they are not always successful in that effort, and the data that you have shows that, correct?
Yes, the data that the DNI has
All right.
shows that.
So releasing these, just like the 5,000 that got released from Bagram Airfield, makes the world more contentious and more dangerous, and enables the Taliban or other terrorist organizations to fill their ranks, correct?
Yes, the purpose of wartime detention is to shorten the war and deprive the opposing enemy forces of fighters. By resupplying them with their own fighters, the war gets worse.
And the war continues.
Yes.
Yell back.
Thank you very much. Ms. Kelly, I understand that your brother Bill was killed in the North Tower on September 11th.